So today I want to talk about some of the newer people maybe. They get pressured into situations where they end up with parts and buying things for their cars and upgrades that they probably really didn't want. So I've already shot and edited this video and it was very preachy, or it came across as very preachy. So I was like, you know what, we're not gonna go there. We're gonna redo this thing, we're gonna amp it up a little bit. Before we get started, this is what I want to convey to you guys. Nothing I'm telling you is right or wrong, okay? I'm gonna say some things and you're gonna want to type. You're gonna get triggered and you're gonna wanna type away down in the comment section. Just wait, hear me out through the whole video, and I think you'll understand a little bit better where I'm coming from. So let's start out with 5-lug swap. That's probably one of the things that people talk about the most. So the Calypso right here, I get asked all the time, hey man, why do you still have 4 lugs? That's crazy. You've got a turbo now, you're making good horsepower. Why would you not upgrade to 5-lug? Are 5 lugs stronger than 4 lugs? Yes, I think we'll all agree there, right? So let's leave that there. I'll acknowledge that fact. So let's talk about how strong the 4-lug cars are. Well, I can't give you like a tensile strength or anything like that. Okay, so I know not every one of you are into drag racing, but I think we could all agree that a 4-second 8th mile car or an 8-second 8th mile car is fast, right? There are plenty of cars running 4 lugs, running in the 4s, running in the 5s, running in the 8s, and faster in a 1/4 mile, okay? So is it necessary? Absolutely not, guys. It's not necessary. Let's just state the fact that you're probably going to need a set of axles if you're upgrading your car and you're making some decent power, right? You want to take it to the track and you want to run it. You want to put drag radials on it, see if you can get your best time. Well, at that point, you're probably going to need to put axles in your car. Now you're faced with a dilemma. You can get better axles. They're more readily available. You have more wheel options and you have more brake options. So you can go to like an SN95 setup in the back of this car right here pretty easily, right? So that's where, to me, it's necessary for you to go to 5-lug. As far as any other reason other than that, like them not being strong enough, like the lugs not holding the car, no, that's not true. And you can also get some really good 4-lug axles, so don't think that you can't. Now here's where that 5-lug swap can help you a little bit more and give you even more options. So if you're wanting to go to a disc brake setup, you need to go 5-lug, right? Everybody pretty much knows that. So now that you got your 5-lug swap, you can go ahead, upgrade your brakes. I see a lot of people out there saying that that's one of the first things that you want to do, right? You want to go in, upgrade your brakes, you know, switch to 5-lug, upgrade your suspension, all that type stuff. So to me, this is where this video comes in. I want you guys to know, if you're new to the Foxbody game, my opinion anyway, is you don't have to do these things. Like, don't think that your car is not going to stop. If your brake system works on your car, you shouldn't have any issues with that. So let's think for a second. Back in the 80s and 90s, these cars were pretty new, right? Even early 80s, late 70s. I guess everybody just ran into the back of everybody else, right? I guess there was just like 10-car pileups everywhere anytime a Foxbody was on the road. And I also guess nobody ever modified their car. Nobody ever made them faster. That's my point, right? Think of it that way. Is it good to upgrade your brakes? Absolutely. It's good to upgrade anything. So there's another mindset out there that I have kind of seen over the years, and it's this Foxbody really like elitist group that are just pompous assholes in a way. So let me give you guys a scenario. And these are the guys that really catch hell. So you go out and you pick yourself something like this up. Probably not the best car, but it looks decent. So you start getting online and you're asking questions about what should I do first? Will this cam work? Are these heads good? All this type of stuff. Well, what happens a lot of times are people start to ask you, well, what are your other supporting mods? Do you have 5 lugs? Do you have upgraded brakes? What about your suspension, right? So they get into all this stuff, and next thing you know, you're left feeling like a dumbass. And you're like, I just want to make power. I'm not going to be out autocrossing and drag racing. I just want more power. So do I have to do these upgrades? No, guys, you do not have to do these upgrades. And that's my point. You can take this car right here, which is completely stock other than a B cam and exhaust, right? If I wanted to put a turbo on this car, it's not the end of the world. I don't have to go out and immediately start upgrading suspension and everything else. Now, if I want this car to perform to its full potential, then absolutely I do. But as far as like an everyday daily driver, you're just gonna drive this thing back and forth to work, you don't have to worry about that. If you're out drag racing and you're out autocrossing, yeah, go ahead and upgrade your brakes, guys. You can buy better pads, you can buy better rotors. It doesn't mean you got to go with some $3,000 or $4,000 kit. But yeah, upgrade your brakes if you're going to be out doing that type stuff. I can only recommend that. So everybody knows that one OCD guy, right? So he buys a car, probably stock, paint might have a couple little issues on it, but it's a clean car, you know. He buys this car and he goes out, he puts all new suspension on it, upgrades the fuel system on it, upgrades the brakes, goes to 5-lug, just really cleans this car up, right? I'm trying to paint a picture for you guys because I think you've all seen a car like this and a guy like this. And there's something cool about the way they do this, right? They seem to have their priorities in line, and where like guys like me don't. Does that stuff have to be done? And if it has to be done and you like it so much, then by all means do it. But don't push that or force that on anybody else, because a lot of people don't have the money, right? And this is what we got to remember. There are a lot of people in the world that go out and they buy themselves their first car, whether it be a Foxbody or whatever. So let's say they get $5,000, whether it be income taxes, whether they sell something else, whatever the case may be. They worked really hard for this $5,000 and that's all they've got. They go out and they pick themselves up a Foxbody for $3,500. They got $1,500 left. Now they feel obligated, before they do anything, to start upgrading suspension and brakes and doing all this, because they've been online a little bit and maybe they're just kind of new to the whole like car game, right? So they get online and they basically get bullied into doing this type stuff because they don't know any better. We think we're teaching them the right way. We're like, hey, look, you know, you want to do your suspension first. You just want to make sure everything is perfect on this car. Well, that takes money to do. So now this dude's sitting here with a car he just bought. He just put his $1,500 extra into basically stuff that he won't ever see. And now he's upset. He's probably not gonna have any more money for a while, and the car's just not where he wants it, right? Most people are gonna be happy with making a little bit more horsepower. It doesn't make them wrong, and it doesn't make you wrong the way that you wanna do it. I just wanted to come out and remind everybody, let's be decent to each other. You know, we got a bunch of new people coming into the game now and picking up these Foxbodies, and I just don't want them to immediately get slapped upside the face with all the elitists coming in telling them they need to do this and do that. Guys, there's a lot of people who are just happy to own one of these cars. That's it. They don't care. They don't want your brake upgrades. They don't want your suspension upgrades. They don't give a crap about it. So when they come in and they ask you, hey, what about this? Let's just answer the questions that they have, and I think we'll all be better off because of it. So there you go. There's my thoughts on like the Foxbody elitist brake upgrades, the 5-lug swap, all that type stuff. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching. I don't like people to feel inferior because they don't have the money or that's not what they want to do, but they're doing it anyway because that's pretty much what the community is telling them to do. You would be amazed at how many times somebody comes to me and asks me why I do not have a 5-lug swap on my car. Like I'm doing something wrong by not having it. So I don't want that that culture to exist unnecessarily, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, there's no point in pushing it on people. The other thing, and I mention this all the time, the other thing is the clutch. Like a lot of people think as soon as you start making more power or you start taking your car to the track, you should really go with a heavy duty clutch. Well, the fact is these T5s are really weak. They're a good transmission and they will hold up, but the key to it is to make sure that you don't have too aggressive of a clutch. So you want to run like a kind of like a mild clutch, right? More like a stock style clutch, something that will slip a little bit. And if you guys don't believe me, you can go check out 50 Tussin on YouTube. I don't think he's making YouTube videos as of right now anymore, but his videos are still up. And he will explain that to you. He will tell you. And he is probably one of the rawest dudes in a Foxbody driving a 5-speed that I've ever seen. Dude's raw. He hardly ever breaks a T5. I call it loading the clutch. I don't know what the technical term is, but essentially what it is where you're sitting on the starting line, right? Say you're at the racetrack, and you start to ease off the clutch until you feel the car somewhat grab, right? And that's kind of where you stay. And then as the light drops, you swap it up. It's not you dumping the clutch at $5,000 with a really heavy duty clutch in the car on drag radials. Like that's gonna tear your stuff up, right? So, you know, I wanted to include that in with this because those are the things that matter. Like a lot of people think they have to put a really good clutch in a car. A lot of people think you have to completely upgrade your fuel system, meaning like your fuel lines, your fuel rails, all that stuff. Guys, you don't have to do that type stuff. My car is on 15 pounds of boost on 93 with Torco. It's got 60-pound injectors, stock fuel pressure regulator, and stock lines. All it's got is an upgraded fuel pump and injectors. That's it. I keep an eye on my air fuel. All of these like unnecessary upgrades cost people a lot of money, right? And what we want to do is not overwhelm the new people when they come in with all this stuff that you got to do. So this OCD guy that's over there minding his business, they're typically the ones that don't even mess with anybody. You know, they just like their stuff a certain way. And like the internet has taken that as the gospel of the way to do things. And I think it just ruins a lot of the newcomers coming into the Foxbody game or car game in general. Anyway, I know a lot of you aren't going to agree with me, and that's perfectly fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And I'm not bashing anybody that wants to do their car that way, but please, guys, let's make it known that it's not a necessity. This is something that you choose to do, and we don't have to force it on people. I was amazed at how many times I see this topic brought up and amongst the communities. Let's try to be as realistic as we can with people. That's all I'm saying.